Welcome back to Whitt Acres. Today, we're cleaning the pond. We have been getting a lot of nice weather here lately. Huh, ducks? You enjoying the pond? Got the duck family down here with our growing ducklings. Look how big that duckling is. We have Casey, closest to the water. We have Pebbles right there, the black and white runner, about to plop on in. And then there are 4 ducklings. Various sizes here. Come on, little ones. Good. I know, the water level's getting low. Now, mostly the rain is what replenishes the pond whenever it gets low. We did get a little bit of rain here the other day, but not enough to fill the pond up. And I have been letting the pond get lower and lower because I knew I wanted to come in here and do a cleaning. And I was able to borrow a bigger pump from my brother this week, so hopefully this is going to make it go easier. Huh, Lils? What are you barking at, pup? Trying to make it safe? What are you doing, pup? Something under my potting shed? Make it safe. Huh, little girl? You gonna be helping out today? We could use some extra help. Oh, and I didn't know my water hyacinths were gonna be blooming this late in the season, but the one in the little patio pond here actually threw up a bloom yesterday, and I did get some photos of it. It's all wilted now, but I'm gonna have to keep an eye on the other bunches to see if they throw up a bloom. I have 2 bunches there in the waterfalls soaking up some nutrients, but they're inside cages right now so the ducks don't eat them. And they will eat them. You birds. Now, for about the past 6 weeks, I've been raising up ducklings here in the koi pond, so we've had ducks in the water and they've been eating all the string algae. The first 2 ducklings we were raising up down here were the 2 runner boys, and I hatched them out in the incubator. And if you want to follow along with any of the animals here at Whitt Acres, make sure to subscribe to my other channel, Whitt Acres Homestead. And that's where you can see turkey, ducks, geese, pigs, chickens, and goats. Huh, pup? Oh, little girl. Since we've had the ducks in here, they've cleaned up all the string algae, and that did help clean up the water a little bit, but then the string algae is not in there to soak all the nutrients out, and the ducks keep dumping nutrients. So it's nice to have at least the water hyacinths in the waterfalls. Now, the water quality isn't too bad in here. You can see the stones, but the water level is pretty low. This is the BOG filter, so the water's getting pumped into here, and this is what we need to clean out first. You can see underneath this petunia is a bucket, and it's sitting inside the gravel. Looks like the ducks came over and ate some of my petunia, but the water is coming out of that hole, and you can kind of see it ripple in there. So we're going to turn off the pump that is feeding the BOG filter here so we can drop a pump down in there and suck up all the sediment that's settled on the bottom. But the water is being pumped into the BOG filter here down in the bottom, and it swirls around in the bucket and then it comes up through all these stones. Now, I would like to get a lid for that bucket so it would have a tight seal, and then it would be forcing all the water to be pushed up through the gravel, and that would filter it a lot better. But most of the sediment does swirl around down there before it overflows down here into the stream section, which is usually about 10 inches deep, and you can see it's barely holding water right now, coming down here to pond level. Pup. You can still get a drink, bud. And the waterfalls are fairly clean right now. They usually have a good bit of algae growth this late in the summer. And you can see some of the green algae sticking to the surface of the rocks here under the falls. And a little bit back there. But since I don't have the string algae in the pond, it's not soaking up a lot of the nutrients and collecting up a lot of the debris that's floating around. So you can see how much cloudier the water is without the algae in there to trap all the debris floating around. In front of the falls here is usually about 2 feet deep. Right now it's only about 15 inches and it's still pretty hard to see the bottom. And if you go in here and stir it up a little bit, it is full of nutrients. And I built this pond about 4 years ago now, and I've never done a full deep cleaning. Now, I have used the pressure washer to clean up the waterfalls and make that look a little bit nicer before, but I've never dropped a pump down into the bottom of the BOG filter and sucked that out. Hey, B. You working? Oh, don't bother him, he's working. You bees. And since we've had the ducks in here for the past 6 weeks, they've been dropping a lot more nutrients into the water than the pond typically gets with just the fish. So I think we're due for a clean out. Birds. I don't have the gate open, so not all the other birds are out right now. They usually don't like coming out this early. I've opened the gate before and they just stay inside the pen until the afternoon. Good job, Rufio. So that's why I like having the duck family down here while I'm raising up the ducklings, not only because I love seeing them down here in the water, but it also gives the ducklings a lot more time in the water. They need to figure some things out. Just like mama. Any quacking yet? Good job, Rufio. Alright, well the plan today is to get the BOG filter cleaned out. This is probably going to take multiple days to get the whole pond cleaned out, so I want to take this piece by piece. But to give you a quick overview of the pond if you haven't seen it before, I have two tops to the pond. We have the BOG filter and the waterfalls. Both are acting filters. Over on this side by the pumpkin, we have the intake bay, and there's two pumps over there. We'll get over there and I'll show you that. But one pump is pumping the water into this BOG filter, and the water's running over into the stream and down into the basin. The other pump is pumping the water into the top of the waterfalls and trickling down back into the basin. Now in the hose that's bringing the water up to the BOG filter here, I do have some jets that's taking some of the flow. We have one by the beach, one off the cantilever rock, and then one over here. And that's to help keep the debris moving in the water, so hopefully it can float all the way down to the intake bay and get filtered out. But we have the BOG filter here coming into the stream area, which I said is usually about 10 inches deep, and then it drops off to about 2 feet deep, and we have the first jet. And it depends on the water level, but this one will create a little eddy there. You see it spinning? Sometimes bugs will get trapped in that little vortex. But just like the BOG filter, in the top of the waterfalls is another basin, and it's filled with different sized rocks in layers. So whenever the water gets pumped into the bottom of the basin up there, it has to filter through all the layers of rocks before it overflows coming down the falls. So that's another biological filter for the pond, and I do want to get that one cleaned out too, but I think I'm going to have to wait on that one, because once I start stirring up everything in the waterfalls, that's going to put all the debris straight into the pond basin. And there are fish in there, and if I dump too much debris in there at once, that could hurt the fish. So that's why I want to do this in stages, and we're going to be starting with this BOG filter because it's actually separate from the rest of the pond. Once I shut the water off, it's not going to be connected to the rest of the pond, and I can stir this up and get all the debris pumped out of it I can. And then I'm going to have to start pumping water out of the main basin so I can get the fish down to one spot so I can get those caught and actually put into a separate tank. So whenever I clean out the whole pond here, they're safe from the debris. And then I can get fresh water back in here once the pond is clean and put the fish back in. But we have 4 koi in here, about 20 goldfish, 2 bluegill, and a largemouth bass. And all the frogs will just figure it out. Huh, ducks, you feeding my fish? Look at them going up to the feed bowl, and then they bring it down and slosh it in the water. And that feeds all the fish too, because they are messy eaters. I know, Pebbles, the water's low, girl. Oh, the geyser. Gorgeous. Look at all the ducklings bringing food to the fish. They are messy eaters, so whenever they eat, the fish eat. Good. Gorgeous birds. That's a big bird. Ah, ducks. Now, I don't want to scare the ducks out of the water, but we'll come over here. This is where the intake bay is, and I have 2 barrels in here and 1 pump in each barrel. Now over here is the intake bay where the pumps sit, and you can see the fish coming over for the scraps. We have Dorothy swimming over there. She's a butterfly koi, just like Goldie Hawn. And then we have Yang with the little spot on her top of the head. And then Julius, bunch of goldfish too. Now the bluegill and the bass actually eat bugs and frogs in there. They don't really come over for the kibble. Ducks. Got Mama Duck watching after you. Huh, Pup? You sitting on the beach? Where'd Lils go? Oh, I see ya. Hey, Lils. Now the intake bay has 2 barrels in it, 1 pump in each barrel. 1 feeds the waterfalls and 1 feeds the jets in the BOG filter. Now the intake bay has 2 barrels in it, 1 pump in each barrel. 1's feeding the waterfalls and 1's feeding the BOG filter. You can see they're sucking in some water here with this current. Rippling through the rock gap. Gorgeous. It's not usually that noticeable whenever the water's full. So 1 pump feeds the waterfalls. How you doing, ducks? It's actually a variable speed pump, so it can go from 4,000 gallons per hour to 8,000 gallons per hour. Right now it's probably at about 6. I don't think I have it turned up the whole way. Don't eat my plants, you birds. Tell 'em, mama ducks. Now there is another hose coming back here, and that is the Geyser hose, and that comes from the sump pit. The sump pit gets fed from a French drain that's underneath the entire pond, so any water that goes over the liner, any groundwater that comes in next to the pond gets channeled into that French drain, and it goes down below my feet and into the sump pit. And inside the pit is a pump with a float valve, so whenever the water fills up in there, the float valve trips on the pump and the geyser goes off. Now I think I started this project about 4 years ago. It took a little while to get done, I think about a year and a half to get the full water inside. Go ahead, ducks. Good. Sorry, I had to wash the ducks. Oh, little girl. But as you can see, there's still some finishing touches I need to make. I need to get all these hoses covered up and blending in. I actually want to put a lighthouse right here, like a 4-foot lighthouse, so I can put all the electrical inside. Oh, and hook up the electrical. But it's a process, and it's just fun to work on. But we are at the point where I would like to do a full pond clean out. Huh, Lils? Good. Just relax, girl. It's almost like that spot was made for you, huh, girl? Or someone like you. Huh, pup? But like I said, I think this is going to take more than one day, so today I would like to just work on the BOG filter and see what we can get done. I don't know how long I'm going to have this pump, but my brother did say that they use this pump in some nasty situations, so I'm going to have to run some fresh water through it before I drop it into my pond. Lils, I couldn't tell which one you were. I thought there was 2 of you out there. So I'm gonna get things set up and then we can hang out by the pond. Come on, Lils. Alright, we're trying to clean this pump up before we drop it down into the pond. So I'm pumping some clean pond water into this tank, and then we're just going to pump this water out through the pump and the hose. And then I'll feel a little bit more comfortable dropping this pump into the pond. So we're just going to let this fill up a little bit because this will pump a lot of water quickly. So I want to have some volume of water in the tank here before we start pumping. Now I just dropped a little garden hose pump inside the water there, right in the middle of the water volume, so I'm not sucking any dirt off the bottom. And that way we're getting a lot of nice clean water in the tub here. So I'm just going to fill this up a little bit so we can get this pump cleaned off and cleaned out. And it looks like this hose is only about 25 feet long. So once we drop the pump down into the BOG filter, I'm hoping the hose will still get all the discharge water out into the yard, or we might have to pump it right into the pond bank garden. Huh, pup? Is it a beach day? Lils, you getting some sun? Good. I'll just get a little bit more water in here and then we can start. Huh, Lils? Little girl's been feeling under the weather these past few weeks. But she ate dinner last night and she seems to be feeling a little bit better today. Huh, pups? Work is healthy for you. And we are getting a gorgeous day here today. The duck family already headed out to the pond. There they are, hanging out in the grass. They must have wanted a little bit of shade. I guess I'll open the gate here soon for Mumbles. You waiting, girl? Oh, I see you. You bird. Alright, once we get this pump cleaned out, we're going to be shutting the pump off that's feeding the BOG filter. I'm going to pump some of that clean water out into a tub. And then I'll drop this big pump down in there and try and stir up as much water in there as I can to get that debris up into the water column. We'll then pump all that dirty water out into the yard or the garden there, and then we'll try and flush that clean water that I put into the tank down through the rocks and do it all over again. It's a natural rock filter, but it cleans up pretty much the same way as any other filter. You're just going to have to flush it out with water a few times. And the more volume of water you use, the better it's going to clean. That's why I needed the big pump. Huh, Lils? Alright, let's fire her up. See what happens. Gotta make sure the hose is straight, no kinks. Well, I thought it would hold the hose open a little bit better. Gotta try and keep it straight. Echo Pup, unplug that. It's gonna go dry. Oh. Alright, not exactly what I thought, but I think I can make it work. Alright, I pumped out 75 gallons of pretty clean water here. We're going to go ahead and drop the pump inside the BOG filter and pump out some of the dirty water now. Pup, do we have to redo the patio pond too? I've been trying to think of some designs. That's coming up. The patio pond up here is also the dog's water bowl during the day. Good job, Rufio. Now, I already tried to grab all the minnows out of the gravel there and throw them into the water before that dried up, but there is still some minnows inside the barrel there. I'm going to try and scoop them out with the net. And then we're going to take the big pump and drop it down into the barrel, and I'm going to try and slosh it up as much as I can so a lot of the debris will start pumping out. We're going to pump it all the way down, and then we're going to take the big pump and drop it into the 75-gallon tub up here and then pump that into the gravel, flushing all the debris down into the basin again so we can try and pump that dirty water back out into the yard. It's a process, but this hose does not reach a yard down here, and I don't want to pump all the dirty water right here into the gravel, so we're going to take this and put it uphill into the yard. Might have to go through the garden, make it the shortest route. Kind of like this. That should do. Pup, little girl went home. Just me and you then, spending our day out here by the pond. Birds. Good job, Rufio. All right, come here, fishy fishies. got pretty much all the water pumped out of the barrel here. There's still a few inches in there, but that's where the pump started sucking air, so I needed to shut it off. I got everything turned around here, and I'm gonna go ahead and pump all the water out of the tub and run it through the stone so it washes all the dirt and the debris down into the barrel again, so I can pump all the dirty water back out into the yard. And I'm trying to use this pump because it has a lot of volume, and that's really going to get the dirt through the gravel. If I just use a garden hose, that's really not going to get through the layers of gravel. It's only going to wash the surface. So I'm going to go ahead and flush it the best I can. I might actually pump some more water out of the pond and fill this tub up again and do it twice. We'll see what it looks like. But the duck family came back down to the pond. Hey ladies, I know we're running low on water right now. Trying to freshen things up. Huh, pup? Is it a beach day? Good boy. That sand has to be hot, bud. It's like 85 degrees today. Huh, ducks? I think the mama ducks wanted to come down here and get away from the boys. You can hang out with me, girls. Just working on the pond. Huh, pup?
We have the barrel pretty much all pumped out here. There's only about an inch of water sitting in there now.
And I'm not going for crystal clear here. We do want to keep the good bacteria that's in there to help filter the water, but we want to try and get a lot of that sludge out so it doesn't have that much to filter. So we got a good bit of that dark water pumped out into the yard and the garden here. I'm going to go ahead and turn the bog filter pump back on. It's going to start drawing water from the main basin and filling the bog filter back up, and it'll start overflowing back into the stream. The intake bay will be sucking in clean water because it is still filtering through all the gravel, so I shouldn't have a bunch of debris or anything getting pushed into here. But with everything disturbed, it will start to push out some dirty water into the pond, which is going to be just fine because tomorrow we're going to be draining the pond and getting that one all cleaned out. And that's going to be a bigger process, but I'm going to try and drain the pond down to where I can catch the fish and get them taken out and put into a pool. And that way, whenever I flush out the waterfalls and pressure wash some of these stones clean, it won't dirty the water enough to kill the fish. But that's going to be next video, so make sure to subscribe down below so you can follow along. All right, let's go ahead and plug this one back in. That'll turn on the bog filter pump. It's going to start drawing some more water because that's going to add 5,000 gallons per hour. So the ripples are increasing coming into the intake bay here. And we only have a few inches of water there coming over the ledge before the intake bay goes dry. So this is the perfect time to get the pond cleaned out. Who is in here? Hey, Sarasa Comet, are you stuck? Oh, poor buddy, what are you doing in here? Let me help you. Let me help you. Oh, there you go. Get out into the open water. The water was getting lower, and I guess that fish got stuck in a pool here and didn't have an exit out. Glad I found you. All right, we're pumping water into here now. We can turn this angle down. And that angle actually helps swirl the water, so a lot of the sediment will actually settle down to the bottom there before it overflows into the pond. But I do need to find a lid that's going to fit this barrel and seal it tight, and that'll push all the water to go through the gravel and filter even better. I'm just using an old garbage can lid right now. We had holes in it so we could keep the lid on, just throw things through. 98% of the pond here was made with things that I just had available at the time. My ducks. You enjoying the waterfalls? Don't worry, I'm working on cleaning the pond here. Now the bog filter pump here is pumping 5,000 gallons per hour, but I don't want that much flow going through the bog filter. The slower the flow, the better the filter. So having 3 jets open, taking some of the volume of water away, I think I'm only pushing probably 2,000 to 3,000 gallons per hour, which should be pretty good for the bog filter. This is not only a sediment trap, but it's also a biological filter. The bacteria have completely inhabited all the rocks in here, and as the water passes through, the bacteria feeds on the ammonia. So I don't want the filters to go dry for too long, because within 24 hours the bacteria can die, and that in itself can actually cause an ammonia spike. And an ammonia spike in the water can kill the fish. So it's actually going to help to do this pond cleaning in stages and get the fish out while it's happening. Plus I'm only one person, so it's the only way I can do it. But it is a beautiful and calm day here. Just heat radiating. I'm loving it, trying to get some sun. And Echo Pup's in front of the fan. Good boy. All right, so we're about to overflow here. I'm just going to use the net to try and get some of this big debris out of there before we start going into the rocks. There we go. And you can see it's percolating up through the rocks here. So it is filtering right now. All the sediment's trapped in the barrel and clean water is coming up through the stone. So if I can actually get a lid on this barrel, it wouldn't overflow. It would actually push all the water up through the stone. It's a process. All right, we're about to overflow here. We do have some trickling coming in underneath the log. Things don't have to be perfect. Here she comes. Gorgeous. Oh, here comes more debris. Let me get some of that scooped out of here. I knew a lot of this dark water was going to come up. Hump up. That's not a big deal. We just want to try and get what we can.
Okay, no fish. Oh, we do have, there's a fish in there. Hold on. Oh, we have a couple. Hold on, fishies. Let me save you. Oh, to the water. Hold on, pup. Hold on. Oh, you should be good in here now, too. There you go. All right, we got the bog filter flowing again. It should clear up here in a little bit once the sediment overflows. Oh, pup. Look good? Got water in the stream again? Feel good on your feet, huh? All right, it's getting bright in here. Why did the waterfall slow down like this? What's going on? Why does it seem clogged or something? Is it just trickling water? Is it off? No, it can't be off. It's pushing water up. What's going on here? Pushing a little bit of water, but not a lot. What happened? Did something change? This is variable. Maybe I accidentally turned it down. Hold on. Oh no, we're running out of water. We're too low on water. That's what's happening. I'm gonna have to put some water in here. I need to shut something off. Let me shut that off. All right, I turned the waterfall down so it's only pumping a minimum amount of water through. We are just getting real low over here. You can see the stream coming in. We have no water in the top of the basin. And look at that river. Pouring through. I'm trying not to add any water to the pond here because I want to pump it out tomorrow. So we're going to have to keep the filter off over here. I have it full of water, so we shouldn't have any problem with the bacteria surviving the night. And I turned the waterfall down so there's less water getting sucked into the intake bay. And I'm thinking I'm probably going to shut the waterfall off tonight. I'm going to leave it run during the day here while it's real hot, but I have aerators in the pond, so the fish should be fine overnight, even if I have the waterfall off and the bog filter off. Because I really don't want to add any water to the pond right now if I'm going to be pumping it all out tomorrow. Buddy, what are you doing over here? You got to stay in the open water. You need some oxygen too, bud. There you go. Keep swimming. All right, I think that leveled out the water a little bit. We should be able to run fine the rest of the day. And then tomorrow is going to be a big day. Huh, ducks? Aw, bud, you got to keep it straight. There you go. Stay in the open water. All right, well, we got started. There's definitely going to be a part 2. All right, that's going to be all for this one. If you want to keep following along with everything here at Whitt Acres and see the next video where we finish this pond clean out, make sure to subscribe down below. Hit that like button before you leave. And in the meantime, check out this waterfall cleaning video. You can see me and Echo on the next one. Hold on, hold on. Thanks for watching. Good boy.